Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends, and today I'm going to talk about the new Tier 7 Tech Tree Russian heavy cruiser, Riga, which I'm sorry to report to you is a bit of a disappointment to me. This ship is, in a word, peculiar, and I want to start off with this particular clip to highlight one of the peculiarities. Take note of how far I am away from this Massachusetts and this Richelieu. And yes, you'll notice that I am scoring secondary battery hits from ranges in excess of 10 kilometers. That's because, for whatever reason, the base secondary range of the Riga is 7.3 kilometers. Why does it need this much range on its secondary guns? I don't know, because the guns, as you can see, are about as accurate as the Mikasa's main guns. And if you use Mikhail Kedrov with the Porcupine skill and Hipper and Haruna as inspirations, you can get these secondaries to shoot out to like 10.8, 11 kilometers. I don't know why you would ever want to do that, because they don't really seem to hit all that much. They can start fires. They don't seem to do a whole lot of damage, though. And it's just one of the peculiarities of this ship. It's almost like Wargaming brought this ship to Legends and accidentally put in the wrong value for how far the secondaries are supposed to shoot out. I have no idea why they shoot out this way. I do not recommend you build this ship for secondaries at all, but also take a look at the AP against these battleships, who both of them are not completely broadside to me, but, you know, they're giving up a little bit of skirt. At least the Massachusetts was. The Richelieu was a little bit more angled. What is this other battleship, Odin, doing as our secondaries fire at him? Well, he's angled toward us, so we probably shouldn't expect too much damage, but I don't know. There's something about these guns with their armor piercing. Their performance is just really underwhelming to me, and this is not like some sort of fluke, and it's not my only data point to support this contention. The main feature, the main game that we're going to be taking a look at for this video coming up next, is going to show another situation where I feel like our armor piercing should be doing a heck of a lot more against broadside battleships, but it just doesn't. It's almost like, again, Wargaming brought this ship to the game. They screwed up some parameters when they were plugging in the numbers, and they got the secondaries ranging out to 7.3 kilometers at base for no discernible reason, and the armor-piercing penetration of these main guns, somehow I think it's scaled back a little too much. So we're going to be on Trident for this match. Now, there are some good things to say about the Riga, though, in its state. It is a very tanky cruiser. Now, it does have 25 millimeters of bow and stern plating, but across the bow, I'd say about half the bow is covered in an icebreaker scheme, which is 40 millimeters thick. That 40 millimeters cannot be overmatched by any battleship in the game, and it will prevent you from being citadeled through the front of this ship. Although any battleships that can overmatch 25 millimeters of armor, which is to say any battleship with 15-inch guns or larger, can still penetrate the top part of the nose and can still do, you know, a huge amount of damage to you. They're just not going to citadel you. As for the upper belt armor and the deck armor, 35 millimeters, which means it does actually have the capability of bouncing, again, all battleship guns. It's going to shatter a good deal of HE as well, and then the belt armor is like 140 millimeters, so it's quite a tanky cruiser when it's angled, provided that the battleship caliber armor piercing does not hit your superstructure, which is honestly kind of massive, and you can eat big chunks of damage from that. It has radar too, 11.7 kilometer radar range, and if you want to spec into the concealment, I've been able to get the concealment down to 11.5 kilometers with Gunichi Mikawa as an inspiration, and of course the concealment mod And if your concealment range is 11.5 kilometers and your radar range is 11.7, well, that means anytime you get spotted where you previously were not spotted, you can pop that radar and reveal whatever's spotting you. Very powerful stealth radar. Now we see the guns in action, though, against an enemy Talon out there, 15 kilometers away. He's mostly broadside to us. We were able to score 1 Citadel on him. And this next shot, I think, is going to give us yet another Citadel. So you can see these guns kicking the crap out of cruisers, and oftentimes they will. But it seems like they are the most effective against cruisers with a little bit of armor. Take note of that Cleveland out there. We're going to shoot at him quite a bit later, and the results that we get from shooting at that Cleveland are going to be nothing like the results we get from shooting at that Talon. Basically, it took us 2 salvos to bring him down to no health, and then we just got to give him a little love tap to send him back to port. So, you know, these guns, potentially very effective against broadside cruisers. They can definitely kick the crap out of them, but broadside battleships, it's a whole nother story, I think. Now, these guns, there are 9 of them. They are 220 millimeters in size, meaning they're bigger than your typical heavy cruiser guns. Most of the heavy cruisers at Tier 7 have 203 millimeter guns, like, you know, something like the Baltimore, for example. Some of them have 210 millimeter guns, i.e. the German heavy cruisers like Hipper and Eugen. But Riga here, 220 millimeter guns. And you would think that this bigger gun size, coupled with, you know, the punching power that you typically see from Russian armor piercing, would be enough to do a huge number to battleships, but it's just not. Now, we get a decent salvo there against a Vanguard who's mostly broadside, but take note of the 4 shatters that we got. And we're going to be moving in closer to this Vanguard. That Yukikaze that we shot at earlier is back inside this Bravo cap, and his presence there is going to cause us to react in such a way where we're going to have to turn into the direction where we expect the Yukikaze to be in order to avoid his torpedoes. Our sonar right now is on cooldown, so we're not going to get any advanced warning of the torpedoes. We're going to have to take more evasive action ourselves. Now, there's a look at the AP of the Riga doing a fair amount of damage to the Vanguard from the front, and even breaking one of his turrets. So you can see that, you know, the AP, theoretically, it's pretty powerful. And there's the Yukikaze again, revealed by our radar. I don't know why he chose to come back. I think we spotted him with our radar to begin with, and that caused him to run away. But, yeah, I guess he decided it was safe to come back, and, well, it wasn't. Shooting the AP at him, probably not the most effective choice, but frankly, the HE on the Riga is really bad. It is, I would go so far as to call it trash, and primarily, I think you want to be shooting the AP in this ship. We're able to take down that Yukikaze with essentially a blind shot, and now we've got Vanguard moving in right in front of us. This is going to demonstrate the efficacy of the armor. We're pointing our bow at him, and again, that icebreaker scheme, he's still able to get, you know, 10k damage through the upper part of our bow, but it saves us from taking a Citadel from him, so we aren't dead. And when his shells hit our side armor, they are going to bounce off, but he's still going to be able to chunk us pretty significantly through the bow and into the superstructure. And just take a look at where our shells are hitting. They're essentially hitting exactly where I think the Citadel of this Vanguard should be, and yet we get no Citadels. In fact, it feels like we don't get a whole lot of damage at all, and in fact, we're not even able to take down that Vanguard. So I don't know what is going on with this AP. I would expect that, you know, ranges like we were engaging that Vanguard, we started at, what, 11 kilometers away from him and kept closing the distance. I feel like the AP should be doing more against the broadsides of battleships than it seems to do. I've shot at a lot of broadside battleships. I think I've played the Riga at least 15, 20 times maybe, and in all of the games I've played, I have yet to Citadel even one single battleship, and I don't know why that is. I'm honestly at a loss, because with something like the Baltimore, for example, which has excellent heavy cruiser armor piercing at tier 7 and smaller guns than the Riga, I've citadeled battleships with the Baltimore easily. At close range like that, like if I was in the Baltimore versus the Vanguard in that situation, I am confident I would have been able to citadel him, and I don't think we would have seen a lot of shatters against his armor belt either, and we did see shatters with the Riga. And of course, plunging fire with the Baltimore at long ranges is also capable of citadeling battleships, but even at long ranges with the Riga, I have not been able to citadel a battleship. I've gotten, I think at best, a 9-10k salvo out of these Riga guns versus battleships. And even on something lower tier, like a North Carolina. Now, he's not perfectly flat broadside to us. He is slightly angled, and we're taking a shot at him 12 kilometers away. I think we lead him a little too much, and, you know, we get a respectable amount of damage with 3 penetrations there, but it's just not a lot. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if these are like short-fused AP shells that don't have an easy time citadeling battleships, or what the problem is. But frankly, I'm just kind of underwhelmed by this particular cruiser, and it is a little bit of a disappointment to me. I was expecting it to be insanely powerful, and it is tanky, as I expected it to be when we began with it, but just the firepower. It seems a little lackluster to me. Cleveland turning broadside. I think we're aiming pretty well at his citadel there. The citadel's like right in the center of the ship, right at the water line, and that appears to be close to where we're hitting, and even when he angles away, we're still not going to get any citadels against this guy, and he's going to be able to melt us with his DPM while we really can't do much of anything to him. And like I said, maybe I'm just playing this ship wrong. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but frankly, I am underwhelmed by it. And I'm not making this video as a review of the ship, in part because I'm recording this on a day where the Comcast internet I have is down, and it appears to be down in many places in the country. So I can't even really look at the stats of the ship or film anything inside of the game, like a shot of the Riga in port. I just want to get this video out there now and record it, because I don't really have anything else to do. I'm off from work today, and my internet's not working. Anyway, I just want to record it to express my lackluster reaction to this ship. It's just not quite as potent as I feel like it should be. And I want to know if any of you guys have been able to boost yourselves to the Riga or even grind to it. If any of you have played it, what do you think about this ship? Are you impressed by it, or are you a little bit underwhelmed, as I am? Because I am, frankly, underwhelmed, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's intentional on Wargaming's part that the armor piercing just seems to be, you know, not as spectacular as I had hoped, and I feel like it should be significantly more spectacular because, like I said, the high explosive is basically trash, and the armor piercing still, even though it's a little bit lackluster in my opinion, it's more effective than the high explosive. But I feel like with such trash HE, the AP should have a little more oomph. I feel like it should be citadeling Vanguard consistently in brawling ranges and doing a lot more damage to broadside battleships, but it just seems like it doesn't. So let me know what you think about the Riga in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.